Hey there, I'm Rob Howard, the founder of Innovating with AI. Welcome to Demo Day. So, we have a really fun presentation for you today. You're going to meet 5 students who have gone through the AI Incubator program, which, by the way, I'll talk more about that in a couple of minutes. But each one of these students is on their journey of creating an AI product or process. What we do in the incubator is give these students and you all the tools that you might need to go from no idea to something you can build with AI that is going to fit your unique subject matter expertise, mix in with your current career or your current interests, and be doable for you without code, without a ton of technical skills in about 30 to 60 days. So that's why we do Demo Day, because the folks who join are then going to be able to show what they've built to the whole community, maybe 30, 60, 90 days out. So every few months we do one of these demo days. We're able to showcase what students have built. People get new ideas. People are able to share their betas and get folks in to test their software with them and help them go to that next level. So that's what's going on today. You're going to meet 5 students. Each one is going to chat with me a bit, screen share, show you what they've built. Hopefully it's going to inspire you with some cool ideas about what you can build. It's going to show you that you don't need to be a coder. You don't need to be a tech expert to do this. In fact, some of the folks who are joining us today have basically 0 coding skills, or they were in totally different industries before they started using these no code tools that incorporate AI in various different ways. So super, super pumped to show you all this. The other thing that's happening today is opening day of enrollment for our AI Incubator program. So this is the same thing that all the students you meet today went through. A couple of them have actually built like 4 or 5 tools since they started the incubator, which is super fun because we talk a lot about how this is not just a one-time thing, but a cycle of innovation that you can actually get really good at over time. We've really expanded our personalized group coaching offerings this time around. So we've brought on a full-time software engineer. His name is Brian. He's going to be helping me run all of the live coaching sessions that are part of our coaching tier. And there's also a private option called hybrid consulting, which allows you to get all the coaching stuff that you would do in a group, plus even more direct access to us. So we can really, really supercharge that launch that you're working on over the next 60 days. Check out innovatingwithai.com/incubator. You're going to see everything about the enrollment cycle and the program itself. And on top of that, we're going to have bonuses for everybody who joins today. So there's 2 bonuses. Again, this is a live premiere. It's September 16th. Our opening day bonuses are going to last for about the next 36 hours. You're going to get an extra program that we have called the Idea Pipeline Masterclass. Helps you build out that sort of innovation cycle of more and more ideas over time, and 2 extra live group coaching sessions with me, regardless of which level you join. So check it out, innovatingwithai.com/incubator. Again, it's open only this week, and then we're going to close enrollment, work with everybody until the next demo day. But if you want to get early access today, now is the time, innovatingwithai.com/incubator. So now we're going to dive in to our student demos. The first is Chuck. Chuck has run a content marketing and sort of web marketing agency for many years. He is now building out a tool that takes a lot of that expertise that he's built over the years and turns it into something that is AI powered so that you can automate or enhance a lot of the work that you might be doing as a content marketer. He calls it Tidal Wave. So let's talk more about what Chuck has built. Chuck, welcome. Excited to see what you've got to show us for today's demo day. Tell us, before we dive in, just kind of a bit about yourself and your background and kind of that, unique expertise you brought in to the incubator program, and then tell us a bit about what you've built.
Oh, absolutely. So I had an agency in Denver, Colorado for about 15 years, sold it a few years ago. We were an SEO and content marketing agency. So what I was able to benefit from was the years and years of watching the SEO algorithms change and watch big brands put out content. And so that's the background against which I, have developed the tools.
Tell me a bit about what you've built, with that sort of expertise coming out of that, agency experience.
Yeah. So what I found is that when most people produce content, they start at the Google Doc or now the prompt.
Hmm.
And what I had established over the years was kind of a framework or a process to identify what you're trying to do with your content and then produce it. So, as AI showed up in the large language models, I'm basically overlaying the AI into an existing process and framework.
And, thinking about your journey over the last, let's say, 6 to 12 months, when you entered into the incubator program, what challenges were you facing? And in what ways did it sort of help you get over some of those hurdles?
Yeah. So the challenge that I have is, while I can develop a tool, since I'm trying to co-create, me, the client, and AI all working together,
Hmm.
is the education and the how do you get people to actually go to the prompt and do things. So adoption, understanding, just the education and trying to break this down for folks has been the biggest challenge. Like I know what I'm trying to do. How do I
Hmm.
get other people to do it?
Yeah.
Has
Yeah.
been my biggest challenge.
Great. All right. Well, why don't you share your screen and give us a little tour of what you've created?
Yeah, let's do it. So uh, first off, I call the overall platform tidal wave, and I'll kind of get into that in just a little bit. But what tidal wave basically is that if I can provide some strategic coaching, I'm using AI to build productivity tools and little assistants. They're really custom chat GPTs, so that when I go train people, they can execute using AI. And the reason that this is important, real quick, because I know we all get emails every day that shows us prompts to write a piece of content. But what Google is really looking for is helpful content written by experts. And that takes some additional work. We can all write a 1,000 word, 2,000 word blog post, but will it actually hold up to what the quality raters at Google are looking for? And this isn't AI detection. That Google doesn't have an issue with the AI content. It just needs it to be helpful. There needs to be information gain, and it needs to be written by someone who's an expert, which is kind of challenging. So when I talk about building assistants or custom chat GPTs, I have a little bit of there's a number of them that I've written that work together. For example, a custom chat GPT that helps you understand how to make helpful content. Because the way I look at it as I go through all this is I still find that all the brands, all the CEOs, it's mostly going to be marketing. We just want to, have these assistants help us through the process. But to get there, what I found is that if someone's using Claude or attaching documents, they don't really know how to make this rack or these artifacts that are going to help. So the first thing that I did is I developed out a set of tools that allow people to make three foundational documents: a persona, a brand promise for that persona, and then a voice and tone. And this all happens rather quickly. So if you answer some quick questions, like here's a sleepy baby product that we probably shouldn't use because I don't know if it's good to give babies sleeping aids. But as you go through here and answer these real simple questions, leans female, 25 to 44, this type form is instantly processed through a Zap, so that as soon as it's done, the user, receives an email from my AI avatar, which is CMO Charlie, because I want people to have access to the
Hmm.
expertise of a CMO. They get an attachment with the persona and also the Google Doc that they can edit so that they can quickly have the rag that they need. Like this particular client actually has three personas, so they kind of have like a group of personas that they can run different things through. They just launched a Kickstarter campaign, and they actually use the personas to to talk about their product. So all this happens online instantly, so you can actually get through building three foundational documents with the AI assisted automation in about 45 minutes.
Wow.
And what I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to get reps on it. I've had this out probably about 3 months. I've probably processed three or 400 personas. Is, anyone that goes to Tidal Wave content, I'll let them act as long as they log in, because I do have some cost associated with some of these tools.
Yeah.
I'm letting people use it. I even had somebody on Friday, like they spent like 2 or 3 hours just making their docs because they realized that wow, I can do a lot here. And
Yeah.
there are some other documents as well that in things that can be done, but that's the basis. Like build your RAG quickly so that your prompts are smarter and have more direction for the large language models.
This is awesome. And so I want to take a couple steps back because I want to dig into a couple of the things you said. Um, you know, first and foremost, I've done this like with consultants for my own businesses over the years, and it was like a grueling multi-week sort of messaging like project, right? And quite expensive, right? So just the fact that we are able to come out of this with even something that's like 60 to 80% solid is amazing. That it's taking a matter of minutes, right? Rather than weeks or months. Not even factoring in the fact that I had to go like shop around and I interview 4 different consultants before I hired the one consultant to do the work, right? So, just this like the ability to create these like fundamental pillars of a marketing campaign quickly based on that expertise that you've sort of baked into your prompts and your forms and everything. It's amazing. And, I also, I was thinking, when we do client intake for a marketing campaign or even a web design, we'll often give them a little bit of a sort of questionnaire like that form that you showed, but just the fact that now nobody even has to read that. It's just automatically turned into something useful. Like it takes so many steps out of the process, which I love. And obviously, is a direction that it seems like almost everybody who's part of the incubator or the innovating with AI community is going to view that as like, that's going to shake things up, but it's a pretty major efficiency gain and it's going to help a lot more people access this type of help, basically. And the other thing that I wanted to just put a finer point on is you mentioned RAG a few times. So for folks who aren't familiar with that acronym, it's becoming a more commonly used acronym, I think, in our audience, but it's basically um, accessing those documents in a way that the chatbot, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT or whatever else comes out in the future, can use them as like their knowledge base. So RAG is basically the knowledge base for an AI or chatbot or large language models. So the fact that you're basically having them do a questionnaire that then results in a customized persona and brand chatbot is pretty amazing. And I can also see that this could be the kind of thing where you did this as a process yourself, right? It can become a product that you sell to others, even in maybe in small doses or as like sort of done with you where it's like, hey, I'm going to help you through this process as a consultant, but I'm also going to have this like AI sort of process that I built helping. And then of course it could even, someday become that just like you pay for it and you do it yourself product where, maybe, you, Chuck, make, a few $100s in profit, but you're putting no work in, as part of that, like software as a service product sale. So really, really awesome. Love, you've got a lot ready for beta testers already, which is fantastic. And yeah, I think it's gonna be really cool and just fun to see like that you've taken this process and turned it into something real for other people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So now that we have that, we all know a new word. Now that we have that RAG, um, I've got some prompts. I do a 1 hour workshop with folks. I hope to automate this, but the next goal is to figure out your wave of content. So like this particular client did recipes. We saw it grow. It could be more consideration, or it could even be thought leadership, is one of my favorites. Is do an interview and then turn that into all kinds of content as you transcribe and roll through it. Like this is going to be this is automated through prompting, but not automated the way that the forms are. And all of that is to develop content ideas. So this middle section is the next build, but what I do have is that there is an editorial process that all this format has to be generated in. And I've actually been able to build an Airtable extension using a product called Stacker that allows it to be managed. And what happens here in this particular product is that now that I have data structure, um, a whole bunch of AI automation can come into play. So, for example, when you say I want to do a new blog post, it creates the Google Doc, it set up the Basecamp task. It writes the page title and the meta description for you, and you're able to identify keywords so that as the AI develops the outline, it's all tied together for the eventual SEO inside of one content wave. So if someone does say in the RAG phase, this is my target audience, this is my these are the value props I'm trying to talk about, and this is my voice and tone. After we figure out the content strategy, which is a little bit more done with you, but it's actually it can be automated quite a bit, where AI helps you hone in on an informational series of topics and then helps you develop out the ideas. This then says, okay, how do I get all of the team on the same page with productivity and efficiencies so that we can march all of these blog posts and social media posts that go along with each one. So every this one doesn't have it, but as soon as the blog is done, um, the social media posts are automatically generated for
Nice.
LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook so that they can be reviewed. But those type of automations allow you to kind of scale the content generation in a concerted effort against the content wave
Hmm.
so that you're establishing the expertise. And this is where the use case here, the problem case more specifically, because there's a lot of small use cases, is that even though you can write one single blog post or one single social media post, how does that follow the consumer journey? How does that make you an expert in Google? You need two, three, four pieces of content a month, depending on where you're at as a brand or a startup, to actually establish that that eat with Google. And I
Yep.
usually find that these waves can they can be supported. Like I've got assistants that help you generate the social media, optimize YouTube videos, but the whole concept is if I know who I'm trying to target, how can I use AI to do a scale of content, not just a single output? And that takes a little bit more task management thinking. Like there's a lot of automations around the workflow. So I know that's a lot,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of moving parts to have a
Yeah.
content marketing strategy.
Well, and so what occurred to me is, so let me ask you this question. So go back to that dashboard you showed us. That was Airtable is the basis for that, right? Which is a no code, essentially database tool or
Yep.
spreadsheet tool. And then you used another low code or no code tool just to create this dashboard on top of that. Is that correct?
Yeah, this product is called Stacker, and I do have a developer for about 10 hours a week, but
Okay.
so everybody can hear it. I
Yeah.
will not write code. She
Yeah.
can write in Python full stack.
Yep.
And we're trying to solve all of this with no code. So between
And
Zapier, Airtable, and
yeah,
Stacker,
and
uh,
Stacker is no code, right? So you
no
basically,
code.
from what I can see, basically you wrote zero code to do the
Zero
things
code.
that you're showing us today. Is that correct?
Correct.
Wow. And you have a developer who can do stuff, but she's not really building
Right.
code for this at this point.
Yep.
She's doing other stuff.
Right. The restriction is, yeah, no code. She spends her time making fig jams, so we understand
Mhm.
workflow
Nice.
in Zapier.
Yep.
I mean, even if we have to get to an API, because we do
Mhm.
some API calls, we do it through Zapier.
Yeah.
Um, there might be an exception if I had to process a lot of data, but I'm usually just doing one-off calls to APIs. And very
Nice.
few of them, but even
Yeah.
there, we stuck in a no code space.
It's I look at this and not that long ago, like within the last 5 years, I built something very similar to that dashboard for clients, and they were spending like over 100K on that entire like custom dashboard for my like 100 employee business type of thing. And it, probably functioned very similarly to what you were able to do with AI and no code today. And it's pretty amazing just to think, obviously every time I say that, it's like you kind of have to have the caveat of, well, okay, well, that's a pretty big shakeup. Like there's good and bad here. But one of the cornerstones of the incubator is like things are getting better, faster, and cheaper all at the same time.
Yeah.
And this is just such a cool, like salient example of that. Like this would have cost you $200,000 plus to do 10 years ago to build like a nice dashboard with a database. And some of the AI stuff wouldn't even have been possible, or you would have had to hire assistants or, virtual copywriters or something and try to churn all this out. But now it's essentially a, one or two person operation. And it's, as good as it would have been with all that money invested a few years ago.
Yeah. So the money investment and time investment, you're right, is probably 1/10 of what it would have been.
Yeah.
The offset of that is the value creation. While it's powerful, I know at the moment that the differentiators really aren't there, and I'm okay with that. I just
Yeah.
want to be in the game, getting usage. So far, all these tools that you see are available. I'm not charging for them.
Yeah.
I just, and even when I train against them, I'm doing, cause I mean, I'm doing the $100 offer for the 90-minute training.
Yeah.
I've done about 20 of them now. None of them have been the same, but
Yeah.
every time that I get in there, I know I'm getting a step closer to the product that I actually want to develop.
Yeah.
That'll be the Trojan horse that gets me in. But I have to, I have to develop these things and really learn
Yeah.
how to make them work so that when that opportunity does come up, or maybe the collection ecosystem will have value.
Yeah.
But I know most of what I'm building is also available, and it's not the tool; it's kind of the overall process and the expertise being brought into it.
Yeah.
So I can kind of pack the most punch possible in the few tools that I develop.
And even in a scenario where you never sold the tools, but you um, used them to support your like a consulting
Mhm.
business, right? Where you say,
Yeah,
okay, you're hiring one of my employees to be your content marketing consultant. That person is then going to use this sort of proprietary tool set that we have access to, or, however you want to frame that. And, that's going to make them more efficient. It's going to make them better than the competition.
yeah,
I think most likely there's an avenue for you to do both,
yeah,
right? The selling of the tools and also the selling of the sort of, um, you know, uh, sort of whatever you want, however you want to describe that, like the white glove service that takes
yeah.
you through the tool or the luxury service, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, just the fact that you're there, like, a lot of folks who are in the innovating with AI orbit, they'll often tell me like, until I get out there and started talking to real customers, like I actually didn't realize how far ahead of the game I was because, um, people who have never used any of these tools or who have like seen maybe a commercial on TV or something, about, Google's AI email writer or whatever, like they're like, oh my gosh, like this is real. Like I can actually do this. And like, this is a big change, So, we're still kind of in that top percentile of a percentile, basically, in terms of how far along we've gotten in this. So yeah,
Yeah,
this is really awesome. And
absolutely.
yeah, I'm excited for you. And
Hey,
thanks a
thank
lot
you.
for sharing it with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was awesome. So hopefully Chuck has already started to inspire you with what you could build. Some of the no code tools that he showed were just like super, super powerful and really like drag and drop level of easy to use. Obviously, you need to have sort of the idea in your head and the logic, and we help you a lot with that during the program. But once you get in there, having a coach by your side, but also doing it yourself with the no code tools is just hugely powerful. And in a second, I'm going to introduce you to another student who's actually gone through that process multiple times now since he joined Incubator last year. Before we do that, though, I want to introduce you to Sanja. She is another past Incubator and Demo Day student. She's going to tell you a little bit about her experience and the app that she built to take her experience as an Amazon best-selling author, cancer survivor, and a supporter of fellow cancer patients and folks who are going through just difficult times with their health or their family. And she took that life experience and turned it into software that is AI powered, that is out there helping people now. So here's a quick message from Sanja about her experience.
Hi, my name is Sanja Salser, and I am a cancer survivor and an Amazon bestselling author. And I am working on an app called Build Your Faith that helps individuals and families manage their stress and anxiety while going through health challenges. It's been studied and it's been shown that the emotional and mental toll of dealing with these types of diagnosis can be just as damaging as the disease itself. As you're healing, as you go to the doctor and you're having surgery or whatever, your mind needs to be in the right place. I got the idea to write these acrostic poems on my first day of chemo. So obviously I wrote some for my book, but it wasn't scalable. I really wanted to reach a lot more people and I wanted to reach them in real time. So I learned about AI assistant during the program and I was able to create one and integrate that with API into my app. So now anyone can type in one of the words and it will give you an encouraging poem. Two of the topics that were really helpful to me and that I really enjoyed while taking the program was one, the AI business model matrix, which encouraged participants not just to create something with AI, but really lean into their own unique subject matter expertise. And another module was about funding. I knew about funding, but it helped to reinforce the various aspects of funding. And so creating a crowdfunding campaign on iFund Women, that was the platform I used, just tied into what I was doing. So I needed to create a prototype for me to get the funding. And Rob, one of the things I really liked from the beginning, you also encouraged us to create a one pager. And from that one pager would detail what you're building, what the problem was, what is the solution, and how someone can get involved to assist with the solution. So I really like that one pager. One other topic that really was important and helpful to me and useful to me was the Tech Veterans Guide to Hiring Developers and Designers module. It really had a lot of information in there so that when I went out to chat and interview the designers and the developers, I felt comfortable with doing so because I was armed with that information. The personal sessions were helpful because it allowed me to gather in a small group with other AI enthusiasts and actually not be afraid to share my AI project because people were thinking, oh, AI is going to take over the world. But to find support within that small group from my peers. And two, you, Rob, you were very instrumental in answering a lot of my questions. Demo Day was great. It actually gave me a deadline to get focused and to stay focused to create as I created my app. And it gave me an incentive and an opportunity to gain exposure to a very large audience. So I just want to say thank you. That was really helpful. I was looking at various opportunities, and one of the things that sold me on the program was the personalization that you, Rob, brought. I was really impressed when I read some of your emails, and then at the bottom it says, please reply because I will respond. And you did. I was really impressed that you responded to the emails as well as you responded to Slack messages and continue to respond. That's one of the things that sold me. And it meant to me that you really cared, right? You're not just selling a program, but you really cared about the student, their concerns, and the outcome.
Awesome. I love that story. One of my favorite sort of narrative arcs, among the hundreds of students who have gone through Incubator, the dozen plus students who have done Demo Day. So next up is Eric. Now, Eric actually has been on Demo Day before, and what he is going to show us today is what's happening in his innovation cycle. And this is something that we talk about at the very end of the Incubator program. And basically the idea is like, you did this once, don't stop. Like you can create tons of different AI tools and processes. And now Eric is expanding into consulting. He's expanding into products, internal processes. He's doing all sorts of cool stuff. He's going to show us a bit about that today. And again, this is no code stuff here. This is not super advanced technology. It's stuff that you can do today with the right guidance and knowledge and the right group of people behind you. Eric, welcome.
Thank you.
You have been
Yeah.
to several of our demo days now as both a participant and presenter. And, you sort of have become, come to sort of embody that like idea pipeline idea that we talk about a lot, which is like, and actually one of our other presenters is in that same boat where, he's going to show like the 4 or 5 things that are in his pipeline at various stages of completion. So I love that because, we talk about the innovation cycle and how, you know, just number one, getting yourself moving, right, makes a huge difference. But number two, like idea one tends to um, lend itself to idea two. And then, you get that sort of snowball rolling downhill a little bit. And now you can't stop creating stuff. So that's kind of the boat that you're in. It's, probably been 9 months since the first thing you showed me. And now you've got more stuff and you just have been very prolific in that. So why don't you tell us a bit about yourself for those who haven't seen your stuff before? And then we can dive into a demo.
Sure, thanks. Well, I'm Eric, and I've been in the television industry for 20 years and started in New York and LA doing commercial broadcast television stuff, and then moved home for non-work reasons. And long story short, I've been running a nonprofit community television station for the last 11 years, which has been super interesting and fun. Trying to run a business and build a brand and be relevant and valuable and all that good stuff, all on the back of content. So very large market experience with very small market experience, which has been sort of a happy accident in terms of what's going on today. We can get into that more, but I think it lends itself well to what's going on with the shakeup of AI.
Yeah. And since I know you like to be overly modest, I will also share that when you moved back to Massachusetts and with the organization that you work with now, you did win an Emmy for some of your coverage of New England, local, sort of local documentary, local events coverage, and that sort of stuff for the organization that you work with now. So congrats on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. So you've done video. You've shown us some stuff around, some of the custom GPTs that you've built for your own processes. So tell me about what you're going to show us today as sort of your next, step in your idea pipeline.
Sure. So, as you mentioned, it's been a real progression, and so this is my third demo day, and they've all connected in the way that you described. And so I can share my screen and kind of
Yeah.
a couple things pulled up to kind of show people that didn't see that, what that progression looked like. I'll just share the whole screen here. So, um, what I had done initially was I was trying to use a sequence of custom GPTs that I had made to generate ideas to pitch to TV networks quickly. They had, I had learned at the beginning of this year that the TV networks produce mandates, which is essentially them telling the agencies what kinds of TV shows they want to buy. And so it has some information in there. And I wanted to try to use what I was learning with AI to turn around ideas based on those mandates very quickly. And so ChatGPT was able to help with that. And ultimately what I wound up doing was making a string of 10 custom GPTs that sort of started with like breaking down of the information in the mandate and then adding brand information, marketing research, and different things to ultimately get to what was this kind of stuff, where I could have like an image from Dolly or Midjourney and a little blurb, and then I could start writing scripts and stuff like that. And so what was clear to me during this was like the ability to make a generative pitch tape was coming, you know? And so what I wanted to really get into next was the generative production. And so that led me to make this piece about my ancestor that you showed at the second demo day, which was this like Ken Burns style documentary that I made using a couple images I had of my great 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 grandfather and using AI to kind of bring him to life and tell his story as a barrel maker and volunteer firefighter in Salem, Massachusetts in the 1800s, near where I live now, based on some ancestral research my father had done. So I made that, and one interesting thing about that was that I had made a custom GPT of him essentially that I used to interview. I interviewed him like I would normally interview someone in a video that I would make today, and took his sound bites and his answers, and that became the narration in the film. So there was a little bit of GPT stuff there. So now, I'm doing this is kinda like what has become of my GPTs now. This is like what I use. I used, Whimsical, um, this platform, if you're not familiar with it, it's like an infinite whiteboard for mind maps and stuff like that. And I find it just useful to give me a visual interface for all the GPTs because at a certain point, you kinda size out of the OpenAI, interface, and it's like, they're just on the sidebar there, and when you're at 50 plus, it's like, I can't find anything. So I needed a way to visually represent them and track them down. So I started to play around with this type of stuff. So like these are some of the tools that I use for myself. Um, this one builds my GPTs. This one takes in brain dumps and organizes them. Um, these up here are ones that I built for my day job. So like I built this for our team and they can click in here and they could say like, something like maybe I'm a new. They can ask it all kinds of stuff and it will, break down the organization for them, help them strategize, things like that. This one writes my monthly reports. I have to write monthly reports to my board of directors, and they're important, but they follow a template. And so now instead of having to write the entire thing, which used to take the better part of a day, I could say like series 3 live stream events for AI workshops and got 5 new members. And it will draft the report the way that I write them. So just like all kinds of little efficiencies like that. Um,
And
for
what blows me away is like the stuff you just showed us sort of in passing is like 100 hours a year of time savings or something
Right.
ridiculous for you, right? Like it's like unbelievably like powerful.
Yes.
And like this is like the very, very, very tip of the iceberg of the stuff that you've been doing.
Yeah. And this is like the long form way I use it. Like normally I would just be like, this month we did and to pick up my phone and speak it to the GPT,
Yeah.
like, and it would literally take me the better part of a day because
Yeah.
while it's just catching up on activities, it is my performance review on a monthly basis. So
Mhm.
it take time. So
Yeah.
now that's a huge load off. So these are all kinds of things that this is just how I've organized it. So I've got a whole bunch of these and now, what was this? Oh, that was that. So, this is what it's kind of become now, where it's like this huge ecosystem of GPTs that do all kinds of stuff. Um,
I can't believe
so
how big this is, by the way, as you're scrolling through and I'm like, oh my God. Like,
there's a lot here. Uh, so, it's, I mean, it just, once I was able to use this interface really well, it was like, okay, now I can organize them visually and I can put links in here. So like I have a platform now kind of, which is weird. Like you can just click on any of these and it will take you, hopefully this one works, to the GPT and you click on the button and it will guide you through the particular process you're clicking on. So it's a great learning tool, but it also kind of meets you where you are. If you're like a senior executive, you can have a very high level conversation with these things. And so I could just see early on how they could kind of proliferate. And then it was like, all right, let me see if I can start chipping away at these things one Saturday.
Yeah.
And by the end of the day, I had gotten the process so fast, I was making them every 3 minutes and had 109 in a day, 6 hours actually. Uh, It was like, and so now I kind of just like uh, crank a few out before breakfast. Let me see. Now, what
And
I'm
as you're showing us this, I also want to, touch on the fact that like you are not a software developer. You are not a machine learning, like computer science expert. Like you basically started this from scratch in late 2023. And, in 9 months, you've gotten to the point where you've built this out, but, there's really no coding, right? There's really no, tech
I would,
skills. Obviously you have videography skills, but like, talk to me about that, like no code element of this a little bit.
I mean, custom GPTs are the easiest things to make in the world. I don't know how to code at all. Um, I don't know what I'm looking at when I'm looking at code, but making a custom GPT, once you figure out the very basic back end of it, it's like having a conversation, I find,
Mhm. Yeah.
and once you put the time in, it's like you start to figure out what works for you in terms of getting a template down to get good, reliable outputs back from it. It's very easy to test. You can do it all day long. So, you know, I'm not special. I'm just early. People are going to figure this stuff out. I mean, if I can do it, anyone can do it, you know.
And yeah, I was having a conversation with one of my employees this morning and we were talking about, like what is like the ultimate market size for all this? So like if we were to, you know, do AI consulting, which obviously we have a whole program around that now. If we were to, build AI powered products, and one of the, there's been a lot of this, like, what do you compare AI to? But the way the question was phrased was like, are there enough customers out there or enough opportunities out there? And the way I look at it is like, it's almost like email, right? Like everyone's eventually going to be using email. And I think everyone is eventually going to need help with and or need to learn this stuff in some capacity. And like you said, 10 years from now, this is, I mean, I'll be very interested to come back and watch this video 10 years from now and see sort of what the like status quo is, right? Whereas like, our 10-year-olds learning how to do this, right? In technology class and stuff like that. Because I think that's kind of where we're headed, where it's like, email was once novel, right? Mobile apps were once novel. And, now I think the stuff we're doing now, like, is definitely like wild and novel and new and really powerful. And simultaneously, like, you could see this just being like, how people think of spreadsheets 20 years from now, where it's like, of course you need a spreadsheet. Like, yes, that is an obvious thing that you should have and learn and do, and it's going to save you a lot of time and you don't have to do these things anymore. So, you know, like there's just, I mean, there's so much that you could unpack in that sort of conversation, but just to see what you've built as somebody who truly was a layperson, when you started this process, right? And you started, focusing on it via the incubator, using your spare time on this, right? Like you said, like hanging around on a Saturday, like while the kids like play video games or eat breakfast or whatever, and you're like doing this stuff, and it's like, man, like it's amazing how far along you've gotten and how many things you've already optimized and automated.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. To be able to make a tool is so exciting. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And now easily do. That's just a really exciting concept. Um, so just taking this a little further, I put this out there and I'm sharing the link to this system with people. So I'm starting to get some feedback on how people are finding it and using it.
Nice.
And I'm also starting to like try to build some recipes, I'm calling them, where it's just showing you different ways that you could sequence them, or not necessarily sequence them, but just like, which little groupings of them make sense in which ways, and trying to help people understand like things like this. So like if you were starting a business for the first time, these 5 GPTs would be useful to you. Um, Same thing
Nice.
here, making a name for yourself. And so like that's a pretty easy exchange with ChatGPT because I've sent it the image of this whole ecosystem, so it knows everything in there, and I can be like,
Yeah.
what should I do next? And it just is like,
That's crazy.
you know, um, and so, now I'm starting to do it, for clients. And this is a client that I'm working with. They're a video production company in, Baltimore called Story Farm, and I've made them a similar ecosystem of GPTs. And, so they have some like one-off tools, and then they also have these sequences, which are really, I'm excited about these because, they're video production like I am. So we're really speaking the same language. And so, they're very interested in doing some, getting new clients and sort of putting themselves out there as a production company that understands this new world of generative content. And so I said, all right, why don't we make 3 spec ads? We'll make a product ad, a service ad, and a cause ad to kind of cover the gamut. And so what we've done is we are trying to use these workflows to produce the concepts. And so, for example, this is a fast production workflow where we're trying to be able to take today's news or memes or insights and kind of, in a fast marketing style, turn around high quality video production very quickly. And so we would take an article like this, where there's some new news that comes out that's interesting to AI, right? And we would put that into this GPT. And then when it gives us the information back, the team, the humans in the loop, will choose the headline they want. Actually, in this case, this was the headline that they wanted. And then we'll use this GPT to expand the idea within the article, and then a creative ideation GPT. So this has become one of our ads that's almost finished in production, where we're making a wearable that helps translate animal sounds, and we're making the spec ad about it. And so that ad is coming together now. I don't know if the sound will come through.
We're not hearing sound, but we can share
Oh,
this
okay.
with folks as well. But just, and which video generator did you use for these?
So, so one thing I forgot to mention is that part of this idea is that we would work with 3 AI artists. So
Nice.
I've gone out and found an AI artist for each one, and they are all using their workflows so that we can kind of experience all these new workflows.
Yeah. Nice.
So this particular artist, Blair Vermette, he is using Luma and Runway. And then we're going to be working with another guy, Luca Tisler, who's going to be using a whole Comfy UI
Mhm.
workflow.
Nice.
Uh, and and then we're still working on one of the other spots.
Yeah. Well,
But
that's incredible. And like, and then the next level is like, one of the trends that we're going to be talking a lot about in the next few months is like video is going to get better and better. Right. And what you're, I saw something the other day where it was like 2 years ago, AI image generation was like a pencil drawing of an avocado was like impressive. Right. And now it's like totally photorealistic, like can do anything. And, we know we're going to see that same type of progress with videos. So, it's only going to get better. The audio stuff is also getting better very rapidly. Like I'd say we're already at a place where like voice generation is almost indistinguishable in some cases from like human voice, right? In sort of the best implementations. So, yeah, it's just amazing to see everything, how it's all kind of coming together. And I appreciate you joining us again, sharing again, and just like, this pipeline that you've got going. Like it seems like even if I even if I demanded that you stop right now, like you wouldn't be able to. Like your mind would just be constantly like coming up with new things and you'd be like building it out in your spare time and all that. So it's just great to see how much just like that creative juice is flowing for you. And I know that a lot of folks are having that same experience now that they've started, down this path.
it's super exciting, and I owe a lot of it to you, man, honestly.
Thank you. Well, I'm excited for the next steps. I know there's a lot of big stuff coming for you. You mentioned you've got some clients now, which is awesome. You're doing your own stuff. You've got, the existing sort of nonprofit organization that you direct, and there's just so much to come. So it's going to be a big next few years as all this stuff becomes more and more mainstream.
Yeah, exciting stuff.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for joining.
My pleasure.
That was great. One of the things that Eric has mentioned to me in the past is that he has a lot of new LinkedIn friends as a result of Demo Day and innovating with AI and the community in general. And I've been watching his work. He had, zero AI experience in, a year and a half ago, like most of us who, got into this when ChatGPT became a thing. And he's got a lot of subject matter expertise. He's a Emmy winner. He's a local TV producer. But the transition that I've seen in his network and sort of his influence in the world of sort of LinkedIn, social media, and people just looking to him as an expert has just really been amazing to see. And really like obviously I know big things are happening, but it's just always a fun surprise to see just how much things take off. So Eric, thanks for joining us again. By the way, I know not all of you will be able to stay with us for the full extent of today's presentation. So if you do need to hop off, that's totally cool. The video will be here for you at the same place if you need to come back to it later on or, in the next couple of days. So feel free to refer back to this. You've got the YouTube link and this will stay here for you even beyond today's premiere. Our next presenter is Kevin. So Kevin is actually someone who has been in my orbit since before the days of AI, because prior to this, I ran a software development firm. I still do. Kevin was a user of some of our software as a WordPress developer. And now he's here to show you his innovation cycle, which includes multiple products and one in particular that he's using to just dramatically increase productivity for himself every day. Kevin, welcome. I'm very excited to have you here at Demo Day. Thanks for joining. We've been working together via Innovating with AI for a really long time. In fact, you came into our orbit before the AI stuff that we were doing even existed, and you were doing web dev, education with us. So I'm really excited to see everything that you've built over the last year plus that we've been, sort of on this journey together. And would love to hear a little bit about you, and share some stuff about your journey and kind of what brought you here today.
All right. So my background is in technology. So I have a good, strong technical background there, and I've had experience in creating various different web apps. I have some interest in knowledge management and as well as applied gamification. And like Rob was saying, as far as my AI journey, I met Rob before the AI thing started, and I had a few ideas, existing apps that I was kicking around. They started out as processes, and they were built on the WordPress platform. I used what's called a WordPress theme to present them. And essentially, Understrap is another offering from Rob. And that's how we ended up hooking up and essentially where the journey started. So I had a couple of apps that I was using for myself. I still am. One is Jammer, and it's a music learning, guitar learning application. And the other one is Insight, which is it's kind of like a journaling life balance process application that I've been using for a while that I found very, very helpful. And so this was all before, I got into the Innovating with AI program with Rob. And once I joined the program, my focus over the last year or so has really been on the incubator. My strengths being in technology, I've really enjoyed the technical part, and it's been a lot of learning. What's come out of the program for me is the idea of adjacent ideas. And so I had these applications that I was working with, and all of a sudden, new things were coming up, new thoughts were coming up. And it was about how do I make those ideas, those AI ideas, fit into my application? And that was actually one of the challenges for me because I had some existing stuff and I was trying to like bring AI into it. And I still wanted the stuff to work. So what I was able to do was create a process, develop some skills on how to do that. I was able to clone my apps, put some AI stuff in there, integrate it, interact with it, and just keep iterating over and over. And for me, this was really important because I really had to see AI in action within my application so I would know, was it working? Is my idea making sense? And so there was a lot of learning that went on with that for these existing applications. But what also came out of that is a whole bunch of new ideas, and the whole idea of the concept of the idea pipeline was there was a whole bunch of new things to think about, new ideas, new possibilities. And what happened was I started creating new processes, new applications that I thought would be useful. And for me, the idea of the prototyping that I had learned, I was really able to pick this stuff up rather quickly. And so some of the new possibilities that came out of that were these new AI prototyping skills and a process and system for AI prototyping, and maybe exploring some services in the future. I have someone in Calgary that is, I'm working on a project with called the Climate Hub. And so the idea was to be able to structure all of these new possibilities and ideas into something that Rob calls the idea pipeline. And essentially, that's what I have at this point. What you see on my right hand side here is a whole bunch of ideas that I've been working on. And I've used AI as a tool to develop them, but I've also used AI as a tool to instill features, AI features into my apps. I've also used some no code AI automation tools. And some of that came out of the assignments that we had with the program with Rob. Throughout all of this, I'd had exposures to large language models, image processing, bit of speech recognition. I'm learning as I go, but I've been able to touch on all of these, and they're all some way or other in my application that I'm working with.
You
Uh,
know, it's super cool to see this list here. I know we've sort of like talked about this a little bit, before today, but this idea that like, I know when you started, you know, I think Jammer was probably the idea that was most sort of center in your mind. But
yeah.
what's come out of that is that, you know, any number of these, like it could be something that you do as a business, it could be something you do as a consultant or, yeah, sort of a contractor type project, but also like it seems like everything you build gives you like three ideas about what the next thing should be that you build. And this is a pattern that, you know, obviously I was hopeful that this pattern would show up, but a year ago we weren't really sure. And now you're one of a couple different people who are doing demo day who are coming in and saying, hey, not only do I have one thing, but like I have like almost like a lifetime of stuff that I want to create. And it just um, you know, it's such a cool thing to see. And I know you mentioned that kind of idea of like the adjacent possible and all the ideas that come out of that like next spark. And just seeing that in real life and kind of seeing like where your brain is going with all this is just a super cool experience for me, knowing that, you've been sort of experimenting with this stuff and getting better and better at it over the last year.
I think that's a key as well is a lot of ideas, but I am getting better at creating these AI prototypes. And like a lot of ideas, you run into challenges and you have to overcome those challenges. But with the pipeline, I have a series of different ideas and I can actually progressively enhance them as I move along based on needs, based on requirements and feedback. And that's what I'm finding the prototypes to be very useful is I can get the feedback. I can iterate quickly and I can increase the fidelity as time goes on. Maybe one of them takes off, maybe two, maybe none of them. But now I have a process and I have the skills to take these in and move them along.
Yeah, and heard you mention that you've got a partnership that has sort of grown out of this with another person or another company. So like, there's just so many avenues where like you could do this as a consultant, you could sell these as projects, you could sell these as to customers. Like, just very cool to see all the opportunities and how they all sort of build upon each other in a way that is like really useful. And then simultaneously, and you're going to show us a couple, at least like one or two of these, I know in more detail, but like you're using these every day to improve your own day-to-day life and workflow. So there's the process that you use every day. There's the productization opportunities. There's the collaboration opportunities. There's just the like sort of, ongoing practice of like thinking of new stuff that I think is valuable in and of itself. So just super cool to see how far you've come with all this.
Yeah, and it seems every time I go through the innovation cycle, I'm just getting better at it. And the methods from the course give it a structure that I really appreciate.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's dive in and see some of the stuff that, you've been building.
Okay, so just a quick overview here. So this is my this is the pipeline that I'm working on. There are other ideas, but these are the main ones. The Jammer is a music guitar learning app. Insight is a life balance app. Spiral is a really cool idea I've been working on, but essentially it's to take your web content and turn it into knowledge with AI. And taking your web pages and what you learn from your web pages and having it put into a database that is structured. Um, with that, I took the same idea and I was able to think about, okay, what happens with ChatGPT? I have all of these chats. I have a list of chats that go on and on. Um, you know, I'm not going to copy paste them all. But I'd like them to be somewhere that is usable. And so using AI to summarize them and format them in a way that I can easily access them is really, really cool. Whiteboard Analyzer this is the one I'll present, but the idea is to take, the content from a whiteboard and structure it in a way that is usable later on, get a transcript and all that kind of stuff. All of these are based on the WordPress platform. And so again, I have a system and a methodology so that I can iterate even faster next time.
Excellent. It's funny as you show this, we've heard a couple different folks just in the most recent demo days talk about that need for, hey, I have like a lot of different chats or a lot of different custom GPTs to keep track of. So I'm excited for that because I know a couple different people are kind of already building and collaborating on solving that problem that we've discovered now as power users of these various different tools.
I think we all have many, many chats.
Yes.
So what I'd like to dive in today is Whiteboard Analyzer. So this is it's the process that I think is closest to a product. It was the easiest for me to put together for a demonstration. But really the idea is, if you use a whiteboard, you're brainstorming, you fill the whiteboard with content. There's a lot of useful stuff. And if you want to brainstorm again the next time, well, what do you have to do? You have to erase your whiteboard. And so, my quick thoughts were, okay, I'll take a picture of it and I'll transcribe it another time. But often the picture would get lost in the shuffle and that next time would never really come. And, I just didn't really have a process for it. And so in my mind, what I was looking for is to do something that would go from a whiteboard to some kind of format that is easy to consume. And so essentially be able to get a summary, the key points, save the image in a place that I can easily access it and have a full transcript. And of course, all of these responses that I get back from the AI are all customizable. I can change them, but I found this is what was most helpful to me. And where this came from was actually from one of the assignments, the first AI automation project. And so I started experimenting with Zapier and I was able to drop an image of a whiteboard into my Google Docs and Zapier would analyze it and would spit out a presentation. I thought this was really cool and I was using it. But then I went through the process of thinking, wow, if I think this is useful, maybe someone else will think this is useful. And I went back to the WordPress platform and I was able to take that thinking and that logic and put it into what is closer to a full on product. And so this is what I like to have a quick demonstration of right now.
Yeah, that's great. I love the idea of like, we talk a lot about it can be easier to start with a process, right? But once you nail that process for yourself, like it's relatively smooth sailing to start selling that to others, right? Whether it's as a software as a service, sort of website or application, or just saying like, hey, I did this for me. Now I'm going to go do this for a client or something to that effect. So just super cool to see that. And I've personally certainly had the experience of like, we are in a conference room, we're brainstorming on the whiteboard, and then I have to be done with the conference room for the hour or whatever that we were in there. And I'm like, oh, how am I going to like do this? I've experimented with like dictating my meeting notes to ChatGPT and having it write it's pretty good depending on how you do it. But I love the idea of like picture to slideshow, then you can share that with team members. You can refer back to it. Just super cool. Excited to see the demo.
Really cool. And of course, like, it transcribes it, but you don't get the full transcript 100% every single time.
Sure.
For the extra contextual information you get from the analysis is more than worth it. And you'll
Mhm.
have the stock picture with you all there all the time.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, like sometimes this stuff just gets forgotten, right? And
Yeah.
just having it in some useful format you can refer back to is a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think there's a useful format and also having it in a system so that you could access it at a later point. So,
Yeah.
what you're seeing here, whiteboardanalyzer.com, this is a WordPress site. And it's just using GPT APIs to do the work in the background. And so essentially, if I go here and I decide I'm going to upload another whiteboard picture, I can go to select the image of my whiteboard. So here's a fairly simple whiteboard picture. It's a whiteboard about whiteboard analyzer. And I just click to upload the image. And so it's going to do a bit of processing in the background.
Nice.
Um, Anyone who uses Zapier, there's a little bit of time, there's a little bit of a delay. What I can do is show everybody what is going on here in the background with Zapier. I get a bit of just see where we're at with the process. So you see it, we're on task 7. I happen to know there's 16 tasks. So when it gets to task 16, we refresh this page and then the whiteboard is analyzed and it's available.
Excellent. Yeah. And that's a great point because we talk a lot about like, these questions of like using the no code tools versus do I need to go hire a coder? And you are a coder, but it is still more effective and efficient for you to use the no code tools like Zapier because you have that, visibility into kind of what the different steps are. And yeah, maybe it's a tiny bit slower in processing, but it just saves you a lot of overhead and allows you to prototype a lot faster. So it's really cool to see that. And I appreciate you sharing the Zap screen too, because, one of the takeaways of all this is like, yeah, it's not perfect, but this is a really cool prototype that you can build really quickly. And you've added a layer of like code and WordPress to it, but you could build this without code as well if you wanted to. So super
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
And I think that's the key again is the idea of the prototype because being a coder, I was resistant a little bit to the no code tools.
Yeah.
But when I learned to do this with Zapier, I realized, wow, I can do a proof of concept prototype very quickly. And if I need to move this to code, I can see it now. I can see how it works. I can turn
Yeah.
this into code if I have to.
Yep.
Let's see where we're at. Okay, we're still running here. Okay, so then if I do a
It's done.
refresh of the page,
Wow. So that's a
so now
slideshow that is based on a template that you laid out, but it's all based on this image.
it's all based on the image. I get a summary. And actually,
That
if
is
I
so
go
cool.
back, there is a title that's generated, a subtitle that's generated, a summary. I get 5 key points.
Wow.
The image gets dropped in there, and there's the full transcript.
Nice.
So it's all together in a package.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's in WordPress, it's searchable. And I have a whole bunch of other whiteboards in here. These are all test whiteboards, but the concept is the same: is you
Yeah.
take these these unstructured pieces of content, put them in through the system, and everything becomes structured and easily findable.
And then you could download that as a PDF or a PowerPoint or whatever, because it's Google Slides, right? And then it can
Exactly.
go anywhere.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I've been able to turn this into this database presentation. So while this is a slideshow, I can do a whole bunch of other stuff here because
Nice.
it's all in the WordPress database.
Amazing. This is so cool. Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing. This is really, really cool.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I felt pretty good about this one.
Yeah, I love it. Well, okay. So here's a couple big takeaways for me. Number one is like, this was not your first idea, right? It wasn't even
No.
your third or fourth idea, probably, right? But now you're in a place where you have sort of almost limitless pipeline in terms of brainstorming, and each thing keeps informing the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And who knows what a year from now this is going to evolve into. And even though you do have plenty of coding and tech skills, you're still finding that the prototyping approach of moving fast and using those low code tools is at least as efficient, if not more efficient for you. And, I think for me, like certainly it uses less brain power for me to use a no code tool, even though I could theoretically code something. And I sometimes do at a certain level, right? Like when you get to a certain point, okay, build it, right? But when you're prototyping, it's like, you don't even need to bother with that in a lot of cases until you get there. So this is super cool. And yeah, I love it. And I'm really thrilled to see kind of how far everything has come for you. And thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I'm Jessica Boyat. I'm a clinical neuropsychologist in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I have a background in Latin American studies, photography, and psychology. The project is to automate a process in my own voice, how I would write a report to take that time from 8 hours down to 1 hour. I think it will give me a lot more time to do the important stuff. The other thing that it will do is free up time to do more of the social entrepreneurial stuff while keeping that income stream going with less of my time required. I'm used to being an expert in some fields, some areas, and I'm really not an expert in AI or software or any of this stuff. So to not get blocked by my lack of knowledge, I think that's probably the biggest change. My brother was doing like a prompt training thing, and it was so clear to me how different the incubator was, and especially at the private mentorship level, to what he was doing. He learned very teeny tiny dots of how do you write a prompt for one teeny tiny thing, or how do you write a better prompt for one teeny tiny thing. But the real benefit is that you zoom out and you zoom in. You get the big picture of what AI could do. You think broadly about your ideas. But then because I have access to you and we have weekly meetings, it holds me accountable, but it also allows me to say, yeah, but I don't understand how that teeny tiny thing works, or I don't understand how to connect the dots here. But I have this other big idea that you can zoom out or zoom in ways that become truly useful. So I think also having some accountability for me. I think most people are really busy if they're going to do this incubator thing. And knowing that meeting was coming, I often was not prepared, but eventually there was enough steam rolling up that I was prepared. And that's a good thing. It's been terrific. I feel like there's a lot more to learn and understand and implement, which is exciting. I feel like there's a relationship with you, with the other people in the group. There's resources to keep learning and growing those ideas.
All right. Our next presenter is Evan. Evan has built Overflow Prompts, which is a tool that he created to help him and others just sort of do a better job of analyzing, tracking, and iterating and improving upon the prompts and the AI processes that they use. So this is cool because, this is a category of tools that's kind of meta in the sense that it's like a tool that helps you with the new tool that is AI. So he's going to show us a bit about what he's built and his experience so far and how the incubator helped him kind of get to the finish line and get this thing out there to his first beta customers. Welcome, Evan. It's exciting to have you here. You've got some really cool stuff to demo for us today. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and sort of what brought you into the Innovating with AI community and kind of your journey that you've taken with us so far?
Yeah, thank you, Rob. And it's been a really good journey with innovating AI so far. I have definitely done some investigation on my side to really understand where my passions lie within the AI space. Um, just to give a background on myself, I started in quality engineering. And then when I joined quality engineering at Capital One, I really realized that I had this passion for product management, feature prioritization, road mapping, and I said, hey, why don't I just take those skill sets and that I built with quality engineering, just testing out features, products, the marketplace, and prioritize those into roadmaps that people can really enjoy the products that they're using and that I can just understand from a technical perspective how they're built, at least at a high level. And that's what really got me started is because when AI kind of came to the fruition, as everyone, I was playing around with ChatGPT a lot, all these other LLM platforms. And then after having this quality engineering background, I realized there's still some gaps that we could potentially have problems to solve within that marketplace. And that's what kind of started Overflow prompts. And I've been building it from the ground up ever since. And I finally feel that it's in a beta state.
Excellent. Yeah. And we love to help with that sort of like idea to beta launch experience as part of the incubator. So, what we're coming into the incubator, what would you say was the biggest challenge that the incubator helped you sort of get over, or what the hurdle it helped you get over?
Yeah, I would say definitely having that community there that I can just ask questions to, being able to bounce off ideas off of other people. And also reading your emails kind of gave me a lot of context into the AI space and different ways, different market trends that things are going. I was definitely burrowed deep in the code sometimes, so that was definitely part of it. But I think that the organization has helped me grow and understand that there's a lot of other passionate people in this space, and allow me to connect with others has been great, especially in a field where you're kind of like, hey, who else has this interest in X, Y, and Z? And I've already been able to see that within the community.
Yeah. And it's really fun for me to see just the organic connection making that's happening. Like, obviously, we intentionally build that and facilitate it, but there's also so much where people are just like, hey, this other person I just met has a similar set of interests. Let's, talk more or, do a, virtual coffee, hang out and that kind of stuff. So it's been really fun to see people giving each other feedback, beta testing, giving each other advice, making connections. So that's been awesome.
Yeah. And I think that's a definitely good part of the community because you never know what that other person might point out
Yeah.
or different things that or different interests you might have that you wouldn't know just by not having interacted with everyone else in the community and just saying, hey, here's the first, iteration of this, or here's a topic that's interesting within this space.
Yeah. Getting people connected, getting people out of their shells a little bit. And I think, getting people out of stealth mode is one of my favorite sort of, hobbies in life because, there's just so much to gain from putting it out there and, having people test that beta version of your idea. So with that in mind, let's check out Overflow prompts. You can go ahead and start screen sharing with us. And I know you've sort of prepped a little bit of info for us as well as a demo. So why don't you take it away?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rob. And I totally resonate with the whole stealth mode aspect you were just alluding to. It's it's easy to do sometimes, and it's good that this group has part of it. So why don't I just jump into the slides here? So as part of what we're doing with Overflow prompts is to empower a community with AI. And our tagline's powering AI with community driven precision and integrity. And then I have to put this disclaimer because this is an outside business interest. So Overflow Prompts is an independent business entity operate under Remember Prompts LLC. Salesforce is not affiliated with Overflow Prompts or Remember Prompts LLC and does not endorse or recommend any opinions, views, or content expressed in their product or presentations.
And it seems to me, yeah, as you get your demo pulled up, I'll just put a couple ideas out there. It becomes sort of a collaborative, like, quality feedback mechanism for the LLMs. And the other thing that I think is really cool about this is that one of the trends I think we're going to see in the next year is more and more um, smaller or private or open source models that are out there where, I may not be directly using the latest version of GPT-4. I may say, hey, I'm going to stand up a model just for my company, right? And, that's kind of, time and cost prohibitive for a lot of people today, the day we're recording this. But I think a year from now, and definitely 2 or 3 years from now, like, that is going to be a very, like, common and standard practice for a lot of companies. So being able to then have, like, a real feedback mechanism that is, community oriented, quantifiable, targets all these things. To me, that seems like the kind of thing where, yeah, today you could plug this into ChatGPT, for example, but tomorrow you might be able to plug it into, your company's internal LLM or anything else, and that's gonna, you know, this sort of watchdog mechanism that you're building is really going to be a cool feature, I think, for a lot of people down the road.
Definitely. And I think it also opens the door to people really taking the time to introspect the data that they're given.
Hmm.
Because, obviously, as this expands more, we have to say, okay, we not only can learn like different disciplines, but we can also learn from others that might be experts in this discipline. Like, say, for example, if it's a student, that's asking a physics question and it's a really complex problem. ChatGPT might be hallucinating on this issue. They might be stuck on this one part of the physics question. And then the physics teacher, someone else comes in and says, hey, this is actually what it's supposed to be. And I think it can open a lot of like big data analysis and then say, hey, do we see patterns with either like hallucinations, copyright, security, different things. And I think it can definitely provide more pattern recognition, right, to these sort of issues. Okay, cool. So yeah, we'll come to the home screen. So initially, if you're not logged in, you'll just see this page. And this is the Overflow Prompts homepage. We just have a quick video that kind of gives the genesis of Overflow Prompts itself. And then you can basically show different issues about, AI hallucinations, security issues, or copyright. And then we have just like a hyperlink to say like, hey, where can I learn more about hallucinations, copyright, or security, and just give more information from other sites, right? If they really want to go investigate more. But that will give people enough information to get started and log in. So we'll log in. And this just uses like Auth0, so it uses like your Google authentication to log in. You can also create your own account through Auth0 and get logged in. You then create a report. So you'd submit a report here. We just have this cool slider, so you can just if you want to use the chatbot instead of reporting it directly, that's totally fine. I'm going to try to do both here so you can see how both works. We'll just give an example here. One of the things that is cool about this is that we have different categories, right? So I like to call it the three pillars, if I can talk today. Hallucinations, copyright, and security issues. So when you look at this, you're saying, okay, well, I have a hallucination, right? But maybe I don't know if it is which category it is, right? So I can come to tutorials, learn more about what a hallucination is, get examples of it, or just go to the section that I want to look at, right? So the one that I want to report today is copyright. So I can just go to copyright and I say, hey, my copyright issue is with, this one book that's called Relic. And Relic is a book where, the author reported that ChatGPT knew a lot of information about its book, when, you should purchase the book to know this kind of information. So this is like it was on version 4. The infringement prompt is uh, here, provide a quote from Relic. And then the copyright answer um, is here's a notable quote from Relic by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. So it kind of gives this direct quote. And just wondering, you're scratching your head, like, why would it have a direct quote from a book, right? So that's where, this kind of becomes like a gray area to say, hey, maybe this is something we should report back to ChatGPT, and then say, all right, I have the data source. This is an NPR article that talked about this by some authors who are saying, hey, like, this is a copyright infringement for us. And then you'd have a reason for it. So you could say, should not provide direct quotes from books owned by author without permission. There we go. And then I would just allow upvotes by other users. I just gave this permission because maybe some people just want to report it and don't want the upvotes, or same thing with comments, right? So I'm just going to assume that this person wants to allow for comments as well. Submit it. And then what's the cool thing is that you can just download a certificate and then just say, hey, this is a certificate I have for being an AI evangelist with Overflow prompts. And that way you can put this on your LinkedIn, and then just say, hey, I've done this cool thing. Go check out the site. Right. So we're gonna put the logo in here, but you can say like, all right, you recognize an AI evangelist. Here's a unique number for you to publish to your LinkedIn. In this initial start, right? So that's the certificate part. And then once you upload it, you just report it. um, then you report it here. So you could see your report here. You'll see different columns created. So you could say copyright. And you could say I already have some ones that I've reported here. These are other ones that I saw from different research I did, right? So a lot of this is, replicas of, a movie. So I asked here, like, someone asked Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie 2019 screenshot from a movie scene, and what Journey did. And this is the exact like Twitter link because Journey took it down and said, hey, like this is, we'll fix this, right? So but if you go to any of these links, you'll see like the different infringements that people have found. And then you can say, okay, like here's my site, here's the one I reported. And then the cool thing is you can add a comment here. And then you could say quotes are not copyright infringements, right? just to say like, hey, maybe someone disagrees with this. And then that way you can just add it here. You can upload it. And then what I'm doing is I'm graying it out so you can't just upload it again. So that's the cool thing. And yeah, so that's this part of the report. I'll go through the chat bot. See how much time we got. We got time. And then here, you just say, this is an existing session, but if you're a new user, right, you want to see this. What this is this is BotPress. So this is an existing chatbot platform that I've integrated with my website. And you can just say like, hey, like, let me take this BotPress and then add it to my company's website. So what you could do is you could have like my chatbot running on your company's website. And then you could say, hey, I'm an LLM company, but maybe someone has feedback on this issue. Let me just integrate with this BotPress chatbot so they can integrate with the chatbot. I get the data. I can go back to Overflow prompts and look at it, right? So that's where this is solving for us the issue of like, hey, I don't want to just have another site that I need to go to right away. I can just report it on my site. So yeah, this one is giving you examples of different types. So you could say, I want to report a hallucination. I want to report a copyright infringement. Maybe I'm satisfied. I don't have any other issues after I've reported an issue.
I love this idea. I think this is something that a lot of people will be able to pick up and kind of do in their own, projects is, using this bot press tool that you mentioned or something similar to kind of build that. A form interface can also be a chatbot interface in pretty much all cases, right? So that's a really nice way to just, allow people to use natural language to kind of do the same thing that you showed us in more detail earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
So this goes through the next iterations of the chatbot experience.
Yeah.
I think I have this duplicated twice, so I'll fix that. But yeah, so this is once you reported, you provide the prompt. So you could say like, when did Leonardo da Vinci?
This is a famous error, right? Like ChatGPT was exposed to not know the answer to when the Mona Lisa was painted or something like that. That's why you're doing that one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it actually, and it's a little bit controversial too, on the prompt response it should provide back, right?
Yeah.
So when did Leonardo da Vinci paint the Mona Lisa? People think it's between these two time periods, uh, but really there's some controversy of whether or not Leonardo da Vinci actually finished the painting of the Mona Lisa. So
Mhm.
that's why if you don't provide the fact that like, hey, there's some controversy surrounding the actual end date of the Mona Lisa, it was partially left unfinished, right? That's where you could kind of like come into this gray area space to say, hey, is this the
Mm.
exact right answer?
Yeah.
No.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
what I would love to hear a little bit more of as we start to wrap up is like, okay, so you've gotten over this hurdle to get to this beta stage. You've got a, system that essentially creates a community around better answers, less hallucinations, more security, more sort of uh, appropriate and sensible responses in a lot of different ways. So what do you see as sort of, your next step? If a bunch of people, want to join up and get involved, what is kind of the next layer of this project for you? And, tell us about how people can get involved.
Yeah. So the next layer of this project is to get people to submit these reports, right? We really need people to play around with the site and truly understand if there's gaps that they feel
Hmm.
need to be added to this site to improve it, to make it more effective. Also, the other aspect, if you want to become involved with it, you can just reach out to me directly on my LinkedIn. We do have a site where people can contribute back to the GitHub repository. It's currently private right now, but if people are interested in joining, I'm always open to that. There's also the other aspect is we want to have people not only use this within their day to day, is that we want other people to be involved with it from an educational standpoint, right? So one of the things that I've been thinking about is maybe just some sort of curriculum, online
Hmm.
driven, platform that can teach people of how to identify these types of issues. And then that way they become educated first and come to the platform. So that was one other aspect. And then the other aspect is more like, hey, maybe this can also be a Chrome driver people can use and
Yeah.
report back these issues. But we really do need just the feedback on the site first to really know, is this solving a problem that people have in enough detail, or are there ways to explore how we can improve on this further?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. So this is really awesome. Thank you for sharing. All right. Our next presenter is Mark. Mark is our final presenter for demo day today. He's going to show you ProTime, which is a process and ultimately a product that he built that allows him to use AI to just synthesize a lot of information about his business or other businesses super quickly and conveniently so that he's not digging through email all day. He's not reading a million pages of stuff when a couple paragraphs will do. This is something that has been kind of a recurring theme among a lot of students, and I think a really great use case of AI in general. summarizing, analyzing, compiling, and ultimately getting you to a place where if you build this into your workday, it saves you tons and tons of time, dozens or hundreds of hours over the course of a year. So here is Mark showing us his latest AI creation. Mark, welcome to Demo Day. I'm excited to see what you're building. How's your day going so far?
Really good. Thanks. Nice to be here, Rob.
Excellent. Tell me a bit about yourself and your background, and then we'll dive into what you have created with the incubator program.
Yeah, sure. I'm a business economist. I did a lot of development and I always wanted to create a project myself. This is not the first one. And so I did this project today and the days before I found your program and I needed some guidance and I found that in your program, which was amazing for me to listen to. And it supported me in focusing on the most important steps. And this is why I came here finally to create a project that I present you now, which is called Prototype.
Excellent. So before you dive in to the project, tell me a bit more about sort of what you saw as the problems or the challenges, and then how you solved it and where AI fits into solving those problems.
Mhm. Yeah, well, the thing was mostly that I personally was reading too much. So I was in a project before, and after that there was as well a lot of IT and artificial intelligence in it, but I didn't really understand too much. So after that project was finished, I wanted to get to the news and all to the latest state. And so what I did was reading newsletters and reading a few books, and it got so time consuming, and it was really hard to spend my time here correctly and building on one side, and on the other side reading, getting understanding the topic of Gen AI. And so here I came in and I thought this is really tough. And then I was thinking, why doesn't a tool exist that summarizes for me most of these newsletters? So that I just read the summaries. And from the summaries, there where I'm interested, I go into details and then see the newsletter itself. And this just didn't exist. And this can save you so much time. And I wanted to have a tool like that. And then I was searching for it. I didn't find anything. And then I said, okay, I built something like that myself. As I said, I developed for about 20 years. So I created a Python program. I implemented the Gemini API and the ChatGPT API. And it worked astonishingly well. And it saved me a lot of time. So then I showed this a few friends, and they were thinking, this is a pretty cool thing as well. And so I was, then I found your program. And with that program, I thought, yeah, why not trying that to bring that into a product that other people can as well have use of this product that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, I love it. And there's certainly a challenge that I've, thought through a few times for myself and even for my team and my employees. Like, how do we sort of digest all of this information in a way that is efficient and fun without going down the rabbit hole or like spending, half your life on Twitter or social media trying to like find all the pieces and everything. So let's share your screen and you can show us sort of the details about what you built.
So my AI product is a tool that boosts the reading speed of a user by factors. That's my approach, what I want to have. And the target group is for me, business professionals that read a lot. So this is the reason why I created Prototype. And here I created a video that I would love to show now how I solved this problem.
Welcome to Prototype. Spend your time on what matters most because we deliver insights at rocket speed.
What's that?
Oh, yeah, like this. Imagine reading most of your emails in just 15 minutes. Sounds better?
Oh, not bad. What else?
Uh-huh. Now imagine staying up to date with one newsletter instead of many, squeezing your reading time to just 15 minutes.
Yeah, that would help.
Finally, Imagine staying current with finance trends in just 15 minutes a day. Would that convince your clients?
Yeah. Where do I get it?
Mark, a pleasure to have you here. Where can users get ProTime?
ProTime is just a couple of weeks old, but already operational. We have a founder member program where early adopters have early access and even can participate during development, shaping ProTime's future.
This is cool. But what do you want to achieve finally?
I want to give people their stolen time back so they can focus on what really matters, like family, friends, and a peace of mind. We all deserve this.
Very insightful. Thanks, Mark, for being here. All the best for you. This is Victoria. Nice the team and business.
Hey, and can I try out ProTime for free?
Hey, we will be offering a trial with 5 free newsletters when we launch our product this autumn. In the meantime, you can join our founding member program.
And of course, if the founding member program isn't for you, you can sign up for our mailing list. And we'll notify you as soon as the free trial is available, likely this autumn.
Yeah, as I said, I'm in.
Oh, see you soon.
Schedule a meeting if you need me. Link is on protime.am. Bye-bye.
So that's a video I created. I had a lot of fun with that one.
Yes, that was awesome. And so did you use a tool to create, like, did you use like a service or did you do that yourself? Like, what was tell me a bit about the backstory of the video, because it was really fun.
Yeah, it worked that way. I wanted to always make a video, and I did a web search for that, and I found this service Beyond,
Nice.
and so I created their subscription. I got a subscription, and then just created a script, talked to people, and the script I created as well with ChatGPT, to be honest.
Nice.
And, just giving my my information, what I want to do. And finally, after a while, I had the script, I had the text, and then I was working over it. It was an iterative process of a week. It took me a week to create it. And then I used 11 Labs because then you have the problem of the voices. The voices are always horrible. When you do it yourself, you can do it for your own, but you have all the background noises and all that stuff. And then it's very hard to synchronize that with 3 people. I wanted to do it with 3 people, and I didn't want to hire someone. And then I found 11 Labs, which is pretty cool. They really have good voices. So I didn't hear Beyond. They have as well some voices, but they aren't good. Yeah. So
Very
finally,
nice.
I came up with this too.
Yeah, I think this is actually its own sort of mini demo within the demo, because you used AI tools and like do-it-yourself tools to create a demo video, which in and of itself is super cool. And I was going to ask, you're a coder, you have experience building software, but you also use the incubator, which is really focused on no-code approaches and sort of the business and the rapid launch sort of concept. I heard some stuff directly from the incubator in that video, one of which was the founding membership offer and the sort of join us early and grow with us. So we can talk more about that in a few minutes, but I love to see you plucking those sort of marketing and business ideas right out of the course. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it was really a lot of fun creating, and it's great now showing this here.
Yeah. So show us a quick, demo of what of the tool sort of, in action, or explaining the tool a little bit more.
All right. So the tool itself is quite a lot of manual things that is happening. So a user that has all these newsletters, he needs to send them to a Gmail inbox or to a Gmail box that I create. And from there, after you have, for example, 10 or 20 newsletter in there, I start a Python program that I created that compiles all these emails in a document. And from this document that it has, it sends that to Google Gemini or ChatGPT through the API. And then with this, I get back the summary from ChatGPT and or Gemini. So I use both to see which one gives better results. I then tweaked a lot the prompt. That was quite a lot of work. So the prompt now that I created for this is about, I didn't count the words, but It's about how many lines? I would say about 50 lines long. It goes through in 2 runs, and the results are pretty good. So for me now, I use it already for 2 months, and I'm quite happy with that. So then finally, when this comes back, it comes back to me by email, and I show you how it looks like. So it's this here. Now I need to make that a little bit larger. So yeah, well,
Yeah, we
this
can
is
see it. It's good.
okay. All right, let's take it like this. So you have then a briefing summary. I talk here about briefing because briefing has a little bit more value. So first you have the summary of everything that follows, and then you have different categories that you define. And inside the categories, you have some summaries, all different kinds of summary blocks, which are always in the same structure. So you have the title, you have the media, you have the summary, then you have a link to the source, and you have the date when it was created. And so you can as well try to say how long it should be. And so what you have then finally is, and really what saves you time is you have everything that you just are interested, the essential news, in one email, categorized by the way that you want to have it in your preferred language, which is a big topic here in Europe. So for many people, they do not speak that well English that they can really understand it. So for example, people from Spain, they can translate everything in Spain. So this should target as well Europe. And finally, it's easy to read. So I prompted it this way that it's not complicated and that it's very easy to read English.
Yeah.
And like this, you only read the stuff that you are really interested in. And if something is really important, you go to the source and then you read the full script and what you want. And like this, you do not miss, or you always can miss something, but the chance that you miss news is quite low. And you read, the chance that you read only the things that you really need to know is very high. So therefore, I say I solve this business professional information problem, and I think a user that uses this tool can read by factors fast.
Yeah, so that's awesome. And I love, the concept overall is great. It fits right in with sort of my desire to have a low information diet and, optimize my email and inbox and everything. And, I see sort of parallels to some of the other demos where we had someone do, a compilation of product reviews. And I think his process was actually similar in some ways where it took, a bunch of content that it found from around the web and synthesized it just like you're synthesizing these newsletters. So I'm just loving parallel ideas while simultaneously putting your own twist on them and doing something different for your own goals. And it's really awesome so far. I'm really excited to see where this goes. And I'm already ready to put 5 or 10 newsletters in there for myself and kind of get those summaries every day. So this is really, really cool.
Very
Thanks for
welcome.
sharing.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Rob. Thanks for having me here.
All right. Demo day is a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, feel free to revisit this same link to rewatch or, pick up some of the sections you may have missed or not had time to dig into in full detail today. And we're going to do another one of these in a few months. If you want to build out an AI product or process and show it to our 100,000 plus community members on YouTube, via email, and everywhere else that Innovating with AI touches, check out the incubator. It's innovatingwithai.com/incubator. It's open this week only for our current cohort. It's going to be closed for several months after that until our next demo day in 2025. And today, if you want to join, you can get our opening day bonuses, which include the Idea Pipeline Masterclass, as well as 2 extra live group coaching sessions with me above and beyond anything that might be included in your package, depending on which level of the program you choose. So check it out, innovatingwithai.com/incubator. Opening day bonuses are for the next 36 hours only. And I'd love to see you in the program. I'd love to have you on the next demo day or just help you through whatever ideas you have or whatever you're building and working on. And again, I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us today to see what the students have been working on. I hope it inspired you. And if you do have any questions about the program, about demo day, about anything else, you can reach out to me at support@innovatingwithai.com or just respond to any email you might get from me. Thanks so much again for joining and have a great rest of your day.